So we are going to start the webinar. Am I audible properly?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, all of you. I, Professor Ghanshyam Rathod, take this opportunity to welcome you all on behalf of EC Department, Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya, managed by Charutar Vidya Mandal, on this occasion of webinar on renewable energy, distributed solar power generation. I welcome today's expert, Engineer Paras Sausani, teachers from BVM College and other institutions teachers, and also welcome students participants. Before we start this webinar, I would like to introduce today's expert, Engineer Paras Sausani. Engineer Paras Sausani is an performance analyst at Asset Management Department of Fourth Partner Energy Limited, which is the largest distributed solar EPC company in India, having their headquarters in Hyderabad with organized regional offices in Pune, Mumbai, Gurgaon, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, and Bangalore. Engineer Paras Sausani has completed his BE in Electronics from BVM Engineering College in 2007 and having 13 years of industry experience. He started his career as a graduate engineer trainee with Larsen and Toubro at Hazira, Surat. He has performed at various levels and designations in L&T within 9 years of journey, and during that span, he was deputed at international location for 4 years to manage operation and maintenance of plant and machinery of new heavy engineering setup. He was core committee member for energy conservation team for 3 years and contributed for key energy conservation projects like natural gas saving through magnetic resonator and hood, replacement of DG source with heavy-duty UPS for critical CNC machine operations, transformation for energy-efficient equipment like VFD drives, motors, LED lights, etc. He had played major role for creating energy-conscious culture to establish and maintain energy management system ISO 5001 certification at L&T Hazira through different energy conservation projects and internal audit system. Due to interest in energy sector, he embraced solar energy field by joining one of the startup company called Fourth Partner Energy in 2016. Within 4 years, company became number one distributed EPC player due to strong leadership and dedicated team. In these 4 years, asset under management transformed from three plant with 0.5 megawatt capacity to 200 plus plant with 120 megawatt. During this journey, he has played key role in setting up strong service and asset management team across India by ensuring technical ability. Presently, he is closely working with company founder to ensure asset performance through close monitoring and various analytics of the solar plants. He has published articles on solar O&M challenges in leading energy magazine Power Insight. He has delivered speech on asset management in EQ conference, New Delhi. Apart from this, he loves to explore nature and enjoy bird watching and keep trying to capture in frame. So, I would like to welcome Engineer Paras Sausani sir on behalf of EC Department, BVM Engineering College to give us insight of his expertise on the topic of renewable energy, distributed solar power generation. Welcome, Paras sir.
Thank you, Professor Ghanshyam sir. It is really warm welcome from BVM team and other members of the college. And I would like to thank all the participants who have spared their time on this day, and they have considered this webinar is important for their further uh, progress and journey. So I would like to start on my presentation so that we can have lot many things to cover. So I will not spend too much time here. We will have all the information discussion throughout our presentation journey. Okay. So let me start my presentation.
Yes, before starting the presentation, I would like to tell all the participants that we'll have question answering session at the end of this presentation. So be with us, and I'll also distribute the feedback and attendance form in chat section after this webinar. So let's start with the webinar. Thank you.
So is my screen visible to all? Ghanshyam?
Yes, yes, screen is visible, sir.
Okay. So I think Professor Ghanshyam sir has already covered the topic, and we will cover majorly about what is renewable, what is the energy trend, and where the solar stands in that. Solar plant concept and design. We will go through the practical concept and practical power plant information, all the distributed solar plant, and then we will see about how we evaluate the performance with the technological support. And I will last brief about our company and its small journey. Okay, so this is what we will cover in this entire session. So we will start with the renewables. Okay, everyone knows about the renewable. It's by its name that it is sustainable. Something will not run out. Will not will it is endless, like sun. So that type of energy source we call it as a renewable energy. Unlike these other resources like coal, petroleum, etc., we know that there is a limited stock. So by near future, it may happen that it will uh, wipe off. So right now, all the focus is now going to increase on the renewable sector. And major popular renewable sector, I can mention solar, wind, hydro, tidal, geothermal, and biomass. So now natural question is that why we are going through all this renewable and what is the important. So we know that the fossil fuel are limited like coal and petroleum and all this, and it's really the major challenge right now. We all experience also that this is a climate change because of carbon emission. So climate change is a worldwide recognized issue, and all the countries are also very serious about this. And now the renewable source is getting more appealing on that front. The third one is energy security. So this is also one of the important aspect to understand that what is energy security. Like uh, if we are dependent on the petroleum, then it is mostly concentrated in the Middle East, and majority of the supply is also distributed from there. So if there will be some political influence or some problems and kind of war situation, this energy availability will make a bigger challenge. So that is something which also one contributing factor to encourage renewable sources. And the third one is economic stability. So economic stability is also the similar kind of thing that every country will have such kind of resources like sun, wind, and everything. So hydropower. So if they utilize it more, they will be independent. So economically also they will find the sources available and viable for them and easily available. So that is also economically stable sources. We will brief about what is solar energy. Like solar energy, everyone knows that solar is available and sunlight is available. So it is a huge source of energy. And if one example is taking like 1 hour of sun energy, what we are receiving on the earth will able to give the power to entire world for 1 year. But that is something is very good, but right now the transformation from solar energy to electricity is a major challenge. So that's why it is limited, and the transformation of solar energy to electricity will be a one of the area which comes as a efficiency. So and there is a availability of sunlight is also variable in the day. It is also depend on the time of the day. It is depend on the geographical location where you are situated. So all these parameters also make this availability of the solar for electricity different. So the another source of renewable energy is wind. So it is also plenty available, and the electricity is similar kind of other power station. Like through wind energy, there will be turbines to operate, and it will generate the electricity from the wind energy. And that is also, but one of the commercial available, but not so much of domestic kind of energy available. It is morely on the commercial. Then the third one is hydro energy. Hydro energy, everyone knows that we have a lot many reservoir, and we store the water, and we use that water in the control manner to regulate the turbines, and we will utilize that water for generating the electricity. And this is also very big and old source available to us. In 1960, we have started this hydropower generation. Then the tidal energy. So this is also one of the source, but I think this is not very commercialized. But this can be also utilized for energy generation uh, from the sea tidals. There is another source which is also very less known because of its rare availability, and mostly it is available for some of the countries. It is a geothermal energy, like heat coming from the earth's surface. So that is also very specific to the location. So that is also very less known and less popular renewable energy. And the last one is biomass energy, which is also one type of fuel we can create from some of the plants, and it can use as a fuel for any power plant which can generate the electricity. And this is something not burning a wood, it is a some fuel kind of situation, and that is also emitting some of the carbon, but not at par at the other fossil fuel. So it is comparatively cheaper and comparatively cleaner energy and better efficient energy conversion. And biomass also have one of the good option which can be generated from the agriculture industrial domestic waste. So this is also one of the key renewable energy. So I will just give you some of the trends so that you will come to know that what is going on in the renewable as well as the energy demand side. Okay. So if you see the two trends in front of you, one left side is a world trend and the right side is an India trend about the renewable energy generation. So if you can see 7,000 terawatt hour is contributed till 2019. We have reached up to that generation. And if you see hydropower is the highest, which has been started from 1965. So other renewable sector has emerged from 1990 to 2000 in the world space. And if you see only India, then most of the renewable other than hydropower has picked up from 2000 or 2010. And specifically, if you see about solar, it has emerged like anything in 2010. So this is the overall renewable energy generation trends. If you see the dividing individual, so as you mentioned, if you have seen the previous one, so this is also the same chart, but if you can see the individual energy trend, And here, if you can see, world has also picked solar energy from 2010. And if you see the India, the curve is very steep, so it is like going anything, it is very fast growing compared to any other renewable sector. So right now, all the renewables are also going upward trend. Every country also tries maximize utilization of the renewable sources, and we are also in the same direction. And because of the attention from all the countries and the politically and the need of the future, this whole renewable also going very far from this. Okay. And here we are, as a solar company, I would like to more give insight about the solar trend. So right now, the solar generation in India reached somewhere in 50 terawatt hour in 2019. And as you can see, the journey has started from 2010, and it has going very fast. And the contribution, if you can see the right chart, the contribution of uh, the solar power in total India's demand has increased from 0% almost in 2010 to now 3%, which is very good sign about solar. And right now, we can see that from the 3% to there are lot many possibilities that we can go further in that solar sector. And solar can be one of the big alternative source for generating the power, right? So right now India is also going in that direction only. And installed capacity, like how much capacity we have installed in solar in India. So again, you can see the chart. Earlier in 2010, it was negligible. Then 12 has picked up, and right now we have installed in India almost 35 gigawatt as a whole country. So it's not a one company. Overall, India has installed 35 gigawatt of solar plants. Okay, it includes everything, all the small plant to large solar farms. Okay, so this is the journey of solar industry till date, and I'm very sure that in future the trend will continue. So this is the biggest one of the biggest source of energy, and I think people have started seriously looking into it and utilizing the benefit of solar. So now I will take you through the basics and few design concept about solar plant. So everyone knows that there is a solar availability, and what is that solar? So what is actually solar plant converts? So that is a solar radiation, and from the solar radiation we receive two type of solar radiation. One is direct radiation, and one is diffuse radiation. There is small difference between this. Direct is like nothing will stop that particular rays, and it will directly fall onto the surface. And there are something, you know, that in the atmosphere few particles are there, the clouds are there. So in this clouds and particle, some of the rays will be collapsed, and it will reflect in any direction. So some of go back to the atmosphere, and some of go to the surface. So which is going to the surface called as a diffuse radiation, which is lower in the power. So if we see that whatever surface on the ground, if we keep horizontal surface, and this surface receives direct radiation as well as diffuse radiation combined, we call it as a global horizontal irradiation. Okay. And the another terminology we also use as a global tilted irradiation, which is nothing like that. The horizontal plane we have shifted to the tilted plane. And I will brief you that what is the importance of the tilted plane in the next slide. So this two terminology is mainly used in the solar industry. And the difference between these two is very simple. If you are receiving the solar irradiation on the horizontal plane, it is a GHI, and if you are receiving at the tilted plane, which is called as a specific tilted irradiation, so global tilted irradiation. In the solar, there is majorly three terminology we consider. One is sun path. So if you see, the sun path is not constant throughout the year. So you all can feel and see the change also, that in the summer month, mostly we feel the direct sun rays, and that is because of the sun is almost on the top of the earth. Okay, so you can see the path on June 21, it is almost on the top of the head, and the gradually, once month will pass, June towards the December, it will start going towards the south. Okay, and so if in this direction, this natural phenomena we can experience by the season also, because in the December we feel the less heat, and that is because of the sun angle as well as the distance of the sun. Okay, so this is happening because of the sun and earth is so this earth is not completely parallel to the sun, so it is little tilted, and because of that phenomena, the sun and earth, the rotation of earth around sun and the self revolution of the earth makes this path variable. So this path is continuously changing from June to December towards the south, and the vice versa. From the December to again June, it's again going from south to upward direction. Okay, so this is a natural phenomena, and the sunlight availability and the direction of the sun on the plane will keep changing in the season. Okay, so because of this, now I will explain you the importance of the tilt. So the second point we have seen here is optimum tilt. This optimum tilt is nothing but we want to optimize this sun path in our solar generation. So to optimize this sun path, we have to keep somewhere in between, because there is a technology which can again follow this sun path, again follow to the directly sun from east to west. That is something a future technology, and maybe commercially it is very less used technology right now. I can say it is very much in use, but not as a commercially multiplied, I can say like that. So that's why I can see that right now people mostly put a solar plant with a fixed tilt, and we have to identify which is the fixed tilt better to utilize this sun path optimum benefit, and based on that the optimum till will be decided. And this optimum till is always vary based on the geographical location of the site. So that optimum tilt mostly as a thumb rule is latitude of that site, mostly it is in near to that latitude. The another term which we use here is azimuth. Azimuth is nothing like, so one is your solar panel you have kept like this is your tilted angle. Now, if your face is towards south of your plane, then we call it as a true south, or it's a 0 degree as per ASHRAE convention. And if you are keeping your solar panel as a some of the other the same tilt angle with some other direction, maybe towards the east side, maybe towards the west side, like that if you are keeping, then there is another convection, like we are mentioning that it is not 0 degree as a azimuth, it is maybe 90 degree, it is maybe minus 90 degree, like that, so that it is understandable that at which plane the solar panel has been installed, and based on that installation what would be the impact of this sun path and the possibility of generation, and that will again reduce the outcome in terms of the optimum possible. Okay, so if you are keeping the south with the optimum tilt, that will generate the maximum conversion of the solar. But if you are deviating from any of this parameter, from tilting and azimuth, any of the parameter you may have to change because of the location you have available, and because of the site's condition you may have to change little bit, and that will how much impact in your output of generation, that is important by these two parameter. So I will just give you the three basic understanding about the plant. The one plant we mostly use is a grid tie solar plant. The another is off-grid solar plant, and the third one is hybrid solar plant. So mostly right now, if you see the commercially, you can say the part of total plant we are installing in the India, the maximum plant is grid-tied solar plant. The second and third one is the based on the some of the specific application will be used. So what is the grid-tied solar plant? So grid-tied solar plant is nothing. It is the plant which is having a connectivity with the grid. So it is actually syncing with the grid, and it is working parallelly with the national grid. Whatever the power supply in Gujarat, you can say it's a DGVCL, PGVCL, whatever area you are in. So this solar plant will work in sync with the DISCOM, and the beauty of this solar plant is like it can balance your requirement. So how it will balance? So whenever the solar plant is available, as I mentioned in earlier slide, the solar is not fixed source. It is a variable source, depend on the time of day and depend of the season also. So your output of solar will not be fixed and constant. So it will be variable, but your load cannot be variable. Your load almost in terms of some of the fixed parameter, like some of the equipment you are using, that will have some fixed load. So if you have solar installed and you want to utilize best way, then this net meter system will help us. So net meter is nothing that you are syncing with the grid, and that meter will give the benefit of virtual battery. So this virtual battery kind of situation is nothing like in the daytime when solar is available, that maximum utilization you do with the sunlight of your load, and in the night if you don't have sunlight, you use from the grid. So this net meter mechanism is something a commercial agreement platform provided by government, or you can say DISCOM authority, which will be beneficial for the consumer as well as overall country's energy demand. So this by this way only this distributed solar has emerged like anything. So it will give the consumer the benefit of solar in the daytime, and the excess power whatever they have produced in the daytime has gone to the utility grid, and that has been recorded in that meter, and that whatever recorded the extra power they have given to the grid will be net off in your night consumption. So by this mechanism, the energy bill, electricity bill can be reduced up to zero also in some of the case, but we can say it is a very less electricity bill will be available because of this grid tie solar system. Okay, so this is the one of the popular model right now we are having in India and across the world also. So another system is off-grid system, which is mostly popular in area where the electricity is a challenge, the national grid is a challenge. That type of area will have a limitation of the syncing with grid. So in that case, the solar has to produce some of the minimum power to capture the direct load, and the excess power can be stored in the bank, and that solar this battery bank can be utilized in the other non sun hours, which can be night or any cloudy time. Okay, so this battery bank will be just a backup which has been charged during the excess solar generation and can be utilized in the other non solar hours. And this is the one of the model which can be more popular in the area where the grid is not easily available. And in this case, one of the advantages that you can be a self-sufficient. You are not required to be dependent on any of the grid suppliers, power suppliers. And the third one is the hybrid model. So this is also right now picking up. So if you have a grid availability, even though you can have a battery bank, then the part of power can be gone to the battery, and part of the power can feed into the grid also, and you can utilize both grid and battery bank together in terms of like in part of the time sun is not available and grid also failed, so at that time it will use the battery bank also, and you have a, so you can say you have a three source of energy to utilize your load. So one is from the grid, one is from the battery bank, and one is from the solar. So whichever source is available directly feed in by this mechanism. So the priority is always solar, and the second one is the grid, and the third one is the battery bank which has been charged during this solar generation. So next is so solar generation always start from the energy transformation. So from sunlight to electricity, the major component has been used is PV cell. So right now in industry, mostly crystalline and amorphous, two type of type technology has been used, and crystalline having a two type of crystalline. One is monocrystalline, another is polycrystalline, and the amorphous mostly using the thin film, which is mostly I will explain you in that form that it is a thin film which can be applied on the some of the glass on the building interior or exterior kind of thing. So this is something a very specific and sophisticated purpose. It is not that commercially utilized type, but monocrystalline and polycrystalline both are actually commercially utilized PV cells. Both are mainly use silicon only, but one is having only a single crystal, and the another is a mix of a fragment of silicon melted together and created the PV cell from that wafer. So the minor difference will observe in the efficiency. The sunlight conversion will be little better in monocrystalline because of the reflectivity you get is the sunlight absorbed you can better, and the reflection will be lesser in the monocrystalline, and the polycrystalline little bit reflection you will observe, and that's why the conversion efficiency you will get is little lesser. So right now the lab efficiency of monocrystalline is 26, but in the commercially market available it will be ranging in 22 around roughly 2022. And if you go by polycrystalline, the lab efficiency is 22, but mostly the commercially available is roughly in the range of 18 to 20 mostly. So this efficiency you can see in terms of the 100% sunlight available and the irradiation value available, and how much you are converting into the electricity in terms of DC output. So this is something, the percentage you can see that how much we can generate electricity from the sunlight. So this the same thing is thin film. Thin film is very new development and R&D is going on. So in the lab they have achieved 21%, but the commercially it is maximum going in the range of 7 to 10. So that is less efficient in my view. And this is very specific application where the people don't want as a big generation, but they want to go by the green, and they want to utilize any of the space, which is not only roof, it is any of the space which is your the side wall or something that can be that can be utilized this thin film. So PV module has 3-4 key parameters. One is peak power. So normally the any PV module, we call it PV module, uh, identified based on their peak power rating. So peak power rating is nothing like somebody tell you that okay, we have installed 300 watt peak panel. So 300 watt peak is the peak power. So there are various type of peak power available based on the availability of the technology and time to time. So right now I have demonstrated one of the data sheet of module, and it has mentioned the different parameters of that peak power capacity. So like for example, if we see this first column for easy understanding, so if we go by 295 watt peak module, then what will be its maximum voltage, and what is the maximum current? It is 37 volt DC for each panel can be generating, and the current can generate 7.93 as a max. And there is a two other parameter which is a the you can say it's a maximum limit, or you can say it's a the breakdown limit of that parameter. So 44 volt DC is the open circuit voltage, and the short circuit voltage is 8.69, which is the highest possible through this. If it is going beyond this, there will be a damage to this. So that is the basic understanding of that two parameter. And the efficiency wise, this you can see that this particular 295 can give you the 15.2% efficiency, and if you are going with the 325, it will give you 16.7 percent efficiency. And right now in the market, this polycrystalline is available up to 18 or 20, which I have mentioned, up to 390 or 360 watt peak is also available, but this is continuously changing. So in near future you will see more and more efficient this solar PV panel. And there is one important aspect of this solar panel I want to highlight here, is the temperature effect. Okay, so temperature coefficient is one of the key parameter to understand. So any solar generation is very much possible up to this 325 295 in a lab condition. Okay, it can be possible with the 1000 watt per meter square, like it's a terminology for measuring sunlight. So it's a standard specified in the lab is, if you have a 1000 watt per meter square irradiation, if you have a temperature in 25 degrees Celsius, and wind speed is 1.5 some range or something, so you will achieve this much of watt peak, right? But in practicality, on the field, we will have a different environment, and because of the temperature is the major difference making parameter, and this will lead the reduction in efficiency on actual ground. So right now you are able to see this 15.2 in terms of lab efficiency, but if you go on the ground, because of temperature, this will go like that down. So in the power, you can see in the third parameter that temperature coefficient in terms of power, so 0.41% per degree Celsius. What it means? It means that every degree increase will reduce your output power by 0.4%. This is also one of the limitation, and technology wise I think this is also trying to minimize, is being minimized. So earlier it was 0.45 or 42 also, then 41, and nowadays it is coming 0.32 also and 34 also. So it depends on the technology, but that is 100% sure that temperature will impact with some percentage of degradation on the actual ground. So this is what I want to highlight here. The another key equipment what the solar plant required is string inverter for the distributed solar plant. So distributed solar plant is nothing like, it's every roof whichever has the space and load requirement can generate the solar is a distributed solar. So that's why the distributed solar mostly use this string inverter. And this string inverter, so now the name itself, string inverter. So what is a string here? So string is nothing but it is a combination of multiple module connected with the inverter. So there is a series and parallel connection to be used to connect with the inverter. And when we connect the modules, that each PV module in the series, then that series we call it as a string. So normally in our terminology, we have 20 module string mostly in a range of 18 to 20 module, and depend on the, again, that voltage makes that final decision that how much VMP is defined in the module, and the whatever total VMP can be handled by the inverter. So mostly right now the 1000 volt DC can be handled by the inverters. So you can combine the total VMP up to 1000, and you have to consider that VMP in terms of some safety margin. So mostly we combine up to 800 or 850 like that. So mostly the 20 module can be connected together. If you see here, the maximum voltage 37, if you multiply by 20, it will give you somewhere range in 750 or something. So that will be the normal range. It can be 20, 21, 22 also, depend on the which module you are using. So the one of the, so I have specified you about the string, and the input power is defined based on the number of string you are connecting. So one string is like number of module connected in one string, and number of string, how many in a string you are connecting with the inverter, is your total input current. So total input current is your parallel connection. So one string is having 7 ampere, another string is having 7 ampere. So total ampere will reach maybe up to, let's say this inverter can be utilized up to 60 ampere or 70 ampere. So you can connect 6 string together, and that specification is already defined in their data sheet. So this is how the basic design concept I am referring you, that based on the number of module you are connecting in the string and number of string you are connecting with the module with the inverter, that will define your overall input power, DC input power. Now the inverter has been designed that whatever DC input power will be reaching to the inverter, it will be converted into the AC power. So you have learned in your academic that what is inverter. So inverter is nothing like, it will convert your DC to AC, and there are a lot of electronics component. Also you learned in your academics that SCR and MOSFET and XYZ, whatever. And the latest one is IGBT. So right now the people in industry mostly use IGBT for this switching power from DC to AC. So all this inverter equipped with the IGBT, and they mostly so efficient that they convert this DC to AC with 1 or 2% loss only. So mostly the achieved efficiency in the generation time is roughly in the range of 98 to 99. And the third one is MPPT voltage range. So what is MPPT? It's just a program. So like this, as we have mentioned earlier also, that there is always variability of sunlight on the PV side. So the DC power reaching to the inverter is always variable. So the intelligence has been designed through this inverter that it will always try to maximize the power. So how it can be maximized by utilizing the DC power more efficiently. To utilize that, they have a tracking mechanism which called as maximum power point tracking. By voltage and current, they have a internal logic and mechanism develop inside that will give output power at best possible conversion rate. So this MPPT is maximum power point tracking for the voltage range, and it will combine the current also in that conversion. And this MPPT mostly is, you can say, it's a brain of the inverter, and this will be based on that in the inverter. some of the inverter manufacturer provides the multi MPPT inverter. So why it's multi MPPT required, that I will just brief you here. That let's say for example you have a two type of two slope in your roof. One is let's say east and one is at west, or maybe it's north and south, whatever. So the solar generation possibility from the east is different and west is different. So if you combine together that east and west PV and give with the single MPPT, the the voltage and current available at together will be mix of east and west, and that's why the MPPT will not be able to produce the maximum output power. Okay, and this will be a limitation for that particular inverter. So to overcome this limitation, the company has given this option that if you have that type of situation, you can go for multi MPPT inverter. This will reduce, or you can have a small inverter, two inverter, and then also you can have that. So it's a flexibility provided that if you want to go by the same size of the inverter but with the two MPPT brain, you can go with that. So it's some number of MPPT and number of string according to that MPPT can be defined for inverter selection. So the third one is that if we are installing the solar plant on the bigger ground mounted site where the power generation is huge, and the utilizing this string inverter will be, so the string inverter is like that, it is having some limitation of upper maximum size of the inverter. So that will be in the range of, right now the technology is emerged and it has the capacity is coming up to 100 kilowatt also in the string inverter, but earlier before 1 year or 2 years it was roughly in the range of 50 kilowatt max. So and the second limitation is that if you are using for the large megawatt scale the same string inverter, you will require number of this string inverters. So what is the, it's a commercial advantage that if you are removing all the brains from the each string inverter and keep at the single location, okay, at the single brain, and you combine all this string and DC power at individual small location across the plant, and that all the individual string combiner box will collect this voltage and current as a power, and that will feed to the central inverter. So this central inverter concept is nothing like that you are combining all the brains together and keeping at the single location, and it is just making your commercial viability so that you don't require brain inside every inverter. So that is the one of the major advantage of the central type of inverter. And the mostly the central type of inverter is utilized for the larger plant only, where the size starts from the 1 megawatt and like that, bigger than that. Okay. So mostly in the design in solar industry, we use various software. We have a very critical analysis of shadow. So when we use any site which is in the maybe city or some of the industry area or somewhere, there will be a chance that surrounding there will be a chimney, some of the other obstacle, some of the buildings. So that type of buildings and other obstacle can create shadow on the modules. And at the same time there is a building self parapet and other obstacle also available on the building that can create also on the shadow on the PV cell. So for this we have to simulate this plant layout on the software, and we can find out that in which part of year what type of surrounding object creating a shadow, and this type of shadow analysis will minimize your losses during the capacity designing. And after this shadow analysis, whatever the small part of shadow or whatever the consideration you have considered, that will be put into the another software which we mostly use as a PVCs. This PVCs is nothing. It's a well uh, created intelligence which will take all your input, like what is your plant, what is the layout, how you have configured, which module you have used, which inverter you have used, what AC DC cable and losses you have considered, and everything you put together and give input to the PVCs. And that the PVCs has some of the historical database of the sunlight availability on that particular location. That location you have already feed into input. So that PVCs will give you the output of energy estimates and what is the performance from the plant you can achieve as an estimate you can get. Then another different software which mechanical people very well aware, but as electrical also some of the SLD and things can be drafted on this AutoCAD, and other mechanical drawings, all the assembly drawings also we use through CATIA and other SolidWorks type of software. And structure analysis. So we are installing the solar on various type of roofs, and some of the installation is on the kind of carport or something. So there is a analysis called wind analysis or structure stability analysis. So that type of analysis mostly to be done in this ANSYS and STED software. So this main software I have covered here. The design checklist, I will just brief again what we have discussed. Selection of PV modules based on the VOC, ISC, inverter selection based on DC and MPPT, DC and AC cable based on the voltage drop, because the distance of termination where the solar plant is going to terminate it is also a variable. So that is also important, that where your AC cable is laying. When your plant is distributed so long, then DC cable length is also important. So all this cable will have some drop, so that calculation also need to be done. Then module mounting structure is also to be designed and defined based on the load condition and site situation. And there is a standard IS 873 part 3 for the wind load consideration. Then for this plant to be maintained for entire life of the plant, like 25-30 years, so for that there should be easy access to the plant and all the components. For that you should have ladder, walkway, lifeline as a safety aspect. So all this also to be considered during the design. Then AC distribution also to be planned, like whatever type of distribution has been planned. AC distribution is HT side termination is there, and the transformer is also required. If there is only LT side, then directly breaker and CT and meters can be designed. What are the key drawings we prepare is single line diagram, module layout, DC AC cable layout, earthing layout, lifeline walkway and cleaning system layout, mechanical footing layout. Mainly mechanical footing is required for the RCC type of plant, and assembly drawing is required for all the plants. Foundation layout is required for the ground mounted plant. So these are the drawings and designs we are preparing. So this is just a basic view which you can just understand that how it looks. So this is a RCC type, this is a ground mounted type, this is a SED mounted type, this is a electrical SLD. It starts from string, then AJB, which is a combining, then the inverter, and then the bus bar, and then individual MCB or breaker, and then it will be combined together in one MCCB or ACB, and then it will be connected to the customer end, which is maybe any of the electrical panel for customer. The second, what I have mentioned briefly for the PVCs. So PVCs has inbuilt mechanism, and it takes some of the input from you, that what is the temperature you have considered, what is the irradiation database you have considered, and what is the other losses you have considered. This loss diagram will be given brief about that, what sunlight is available through what output you will get is easily understandable from this loss diagram. And the other chart, what here you can see is the performance estimate. So what is the performance ratio you will achieve, and what is the AC output you will achieve by this simulation, that can be populated as a month on month, January to December, from this plant. So this software will be very useful for your future prediction and the estimation and your validation of the plant, that whether your plant is performing as per the plan or not. So I will just give you the brief about the solar installation, and that will be interesting for you to see the plant's real installation. So there are various type of mounting: ground, shed, RCC roof, carport, floating solar. Then there is a two type is HT termination, LT termination. LT termination is like nothing like our normal 440 volt is a LT termination, and the HT termination is mostly 11 kV, 330, 33 kV, like that. And the utilization wise also there are type of solar plant. One is net meter plant, one is captive consumption plant, and open access plant. So this photograph is from the RCC rooftop plant. So this is one of the college in Hyderabad. We have installed a solar plant around 400 kilowatt capacity. This is one of the industry where the sawtooth roof has been utilized for solar plant. And this is the one of the largest industry shed mounted rooftop solar is in the industry premises. This is a rooftop installation. The gaps you can see here is just because of the daylight window they have created. On that we cannot put the solar. That's why there is a gap. And rooftop solar on the dome shape also initially it was a challenge, but we have tried for one of the customer based on their demand. This curved roof installation also we have done. It is in Gujarat only. And the open access is independent plant which is away from the customer locality. It is a farm from where the solar has been generated, and it will be fed into the grid, and that will be an open access mechanism that can be utilized by the bigger customer. This ground mounted on the customer premises plant actual photo. This is also one of the bigger ground mounted plant we have installed in Rajasthan. This is a carport which I mentioned that it is a parking, and on that parking the solar panel itself works as a shed and utilized for the solar generation. So this is also interesting installation. This is also one of the specific customized solution expected by one of the company, Rhinac, that they want a cold storage movable truck with the solar backup. So this also has been designed and developed for them. So performance monitoring. So all this plant, once it is installed, we need to monitor regularly. So there is a two type of mechanism. If the plant is very big, we depute the team on the plant and they monitor this plant on the SCADA. There is a 2025 screen, but I have just captured one screen for the benefit of understanding. It will capture all the parameters. It will show you the pop-up. It will show you the alarms. It will give you that what is the parameter right now it is working. All this information captured by SCADA and give you the insight about the plant. The same information remotely also transformed to the central database, and that can be accessed through any of the laptop and any of the mobile. So this database can give you all the plant running on the site based on the performance, what is the output we are getting on the key parameter side. We can see from any of the location. So by mobile also we have a option that we can see that. So this is the technology in the market right now people are using, and we are proud to say that all this development we have done internally with our technical development team. They have designed and developed this softwares and database and everything for our plant. So this is the mobile app view. There is another terminology, energy optimizer, for the some of the case. As you know that grid type solar plant required always a grid syncing. So if grid is not available, solar will not work. So in that case, the customer has DG available. So in that case, what we do mostly that when the power switch from solar to DG, there will be a small limitation that when it is with the grid, there is a possibility that when solar is higher, solar can generate higher, it will go to the grid. But that cannot be the case with the DG. So in that case, we have to regulate the solar power based on the load available, and that will be control and curtail the solar. And that device will be used for the optimize the DG as well as solar. The similar kind of thing is sometimes required that when the plant is designed with the some assumption that we can't export, the plant is not having a permission based on the policy of the state that you can't export. Some of the state is having some limitations on that. Some of the size of the plant cannot transfer the power. So in that case, there is a one another device, we call it grid zero feed-in. So that will work like that only. It will not allow the solar to feed into the grid, and this will continuously monitor the load available and the export condition, and this will give best optimized output from the solar. So you can see the graph here. If the optimizer is not used, so the power is feed
Excuse
into
me,
the grid. Sorry.
Paras sir. We are almost about to like
Can we
almost
extend for 5 minutes if it is
yeah,
allowed
yeah,
by everyone?
no problem, sir. We can continue with a few more minutes because we need time for question answering also.
Yeah, sure,
But
sure, sure. And I can extend myself, no problem about that. But just
yeah,
give me, because I want to cover a few slides more. Okay,
yeah,
I sorry for
definitely.
the
No
late.
problem, sir. You can continue. This is just I'm giving you
Sure, sure,
yeah,
sure. So
time.
this
Time.
optimizer is mostly utilize your solar energy in a parallel with the DG and as well as the grid, if you are having a limitation that you are not supposed to feed into the grid. So these two graph can easily understandable that one is you are feeding into the grid, by another mechanism you are stopping your solar and curtailing the above part of the solar in the daytime, and that will be not a advisable solution, but if it is a restriction by the norms and statutory, then only this is a preferable solution. And there is a solar TV, which is also the customized solution. If some customer is asked that solar TV which they want to demonstrate and market that we have installed a solar and green, for that we provide. We used thermal imaging with the thermal camera that for our O&M activities, that will give a basic understanding about the temperature impact on the equipment, and it will help us to predict some failure in advance, so that there is a bigger failure and component failure we can identify in advance in the preventive maintenance through this thermography. So I will just go through within a 5 minutes about this, that what is our company. It's a fourth partner. So company has started with three gentlemen as a uh, combined, and they have considered all other stakeholders, like any of the interested party with the fourth partner in the company. They call it as a fourth partner. Any employee, any person who are interested to work with the fourth partner in terms of channel partner, is a customer, whoever is interested, they call it as a fourth partner. So that's the idea behind the name of fourth partner. So this will be a benefit of the solar. Why to go with the solar? It's better for environment and bigger, commercially viable for customer. And we are into segment of commercially and industrial customer. So that's the, for them we have a model like zero investment. So that is also the very good for them. And this 25 years reliable sources of solar. So the company has two type of model. One is OPEX and CAPEX. So CAPEX model is like customer pay upfront and we install the solar, and the another one is you just pay for the energy what you use. So as I mentioned, I am operating in the department is asset management, which is a company's owned asset. So there we have installed roughly 200 plus installation with the size of 120 megawatt. And the other installation is the capex installation, which is right now the total installation, if you can combine, is 250 megawatt. And the 1800 plus installation we have done across the India, 23 states we have present. And most of the customer is our CNI customer, which is in the category commercial and industrial customer. We have 10 years of experience and 250 plus employees and 10 offices across the India. So right now, as a Breeze to India publication, we are the top distributed solar company at present. So there are lot many players who are just going into the solar farm and big type of solar industry, but we are into solar distribution, and we are number one in the distribution solar industry. So in the international foray also, we are making our presence in different countries. This is a customer, our prime importance and everything. So there are different models we offer. This is also how we start, like customer analysis, then development model, and then operating model is like we manage the entire plant throughout the lifespan. We have a strong backup from the finance side, like Bank of America, then World Bank, who has given the channel of money to State Bank of India, which can provide the renewable sector this type of funding. And we have a TPG, which is recently invested. They have invested in the Geo also 10% stack. So similar that they have also invested lot much finance in fourth partner also. So we provide this type of different solution. Uh, the health and safety is there, so there are number of customer who are associated with this, and they are giving repeated orders to us, like their Ultratech. They have even number of order repeat, DMart number of order repeats, Lumax, uh, HUL, Hindustan Unilever, to name it, they have given a number of repeat orders. So 66% of our order comes as a repeat customer, and mostly, as I mentioned, that we have a maximum base of the CNI customer. So they are mostly this industries and this commercial people. So there are some testimony. So we save the environment with this business also, that we can save the coal and this tree saving and carbon emission. So there is some CSR activity involvement also there. We give some of the remote schools and hospitals installation with 1 rupees per unit. These are the founders, Vivek Subramaniam, and one of the Gujarati founder is Saif Durajiwala. He based in Pune. The Vivek Subramaniam based in Hyderabad, and Vikas Salgati is also one of the member. We have a board of director, and one of the John Kerry. You must have seen Obama's secretary. He is also in the board of our thing, and Ajay Mathur from Terry is also in our board. There are other board members available, and they have faith in fourth partner, which will be going further. Lot of awards. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you all. So I'll question answer.
Yes, participants, we'll share a few minutes for question answering. If you are having any questions, you can directly unmute yourself and you can ask the question directly. Paras sir is with us to solve your queries. It was a really wonderful session, sir. We
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Yes, participants, the platform is open to you. You can ask your queries. Otherwise, I
Please
already.
feel free to ask if you have something about like industry exposure or something. So I think you must have something in your mind, but you can speak out, and the language is not barrier. You can speak Hindi, Gujarati, English, anything.
Hello, sir.
हाँ बोलिए सर.
What is important of power electronics in this renewable energy? Power
Okay,
electronics, SCR, IGBT, you have talked about that. So,
correct.
what is important of this subject in this renewable energy?
So I personally give you the answer is that ki right now there is a major, you can say, the component in the solar is two. One is the PV cell, the another is inverter. So the inverter, the complete inverter has been designed based on the power electronics only. So whatever the central inverter you call or string inverter you call, all are designed with the power electronics only. So the industry is having a demand for a better power electronics for the future development, and the path of power electronics is very bright. If the solar is going ahead, the power electronics also go in that parallel. So power electronics is really important for all the solar plant.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, one of the question in chat section, the different types of solar plants that we already discussed.
Sorry, I missed the question. Can you repeat?
The question is different types of solar plants.
Hmm.
And another question is what are future scope for electrical engineering in this field?
So different type of solar plant. I think I have covered like mainly solar plant right now. Is three big category is grid type. So which is sync with the grid. The another one is off grid, which is not required as a any national grid to be connected. It is an independent solar plant, but this is having some limitation that you can't produce without battery. So you need some battery backup. And when you go for a bigger size in off grid, there will be a challenge of having a big battery bank and setup and to be maintained that setup. So that's why the off grid is not that much of commercially useful model. So the other third one is the hybrid of both. So right now, as I mentioned there also, that the major three categories there, and the commercially maximum utilized category is grid tie solar system. The other two is also utilized, but it's a less percentage. So this is a major. And as mentioned that there is a other two type is a termination wise. So if you are terminating your solar output and in your premises within the LT level, it is a LT type of solar plant. And if you are terminating at the HT level, so it's a high tension line, so that is a HT type. So there is a little change. Up to inverter, I think there is a similarity, but after that there is a transformer and other the switch gear will be different for the HT termination. So that's why it's a bifurcation. Otherwise, it's almost same. And the future of electrical engineer. So truly speaking, I personally feel that if the industry goes what is right now expected, the demand for electrical and electronics engineer will be huge. Okay, so as I mentioned, all in my team, we mostly prefer for all the major design engineers, we mostly prefer for O&M engineers, is an electrical engineer and sometime electronics engineer if they have a both background. So electrical and electronics if they have combined. So we prefer electronics also as a person, and core electrical also we prefer. So electrical and electronics both will be a good branch as a future for solar and other wind and other renewable also, because finally we are all producing electricity. So electrical engineer will be required for all this industry growth.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Uh, yes, if anyone having still any queries, you can ask here, or otherwise, I already circulated one feedback attendance form. There is you can drop your queries in that also. We'll reply you back. So I think there is no much question now.
No problem.
Finally, this is really a very wonderful webinar from you. Bharat is also Biomite, our own alumni,
Thank you.
and one of my classmates. So, thank you, Paras, for this wonderful webinar on this a very nice topic of renewable energy, power distribution, solar power distribution systems. And from my side, I would like to thank Chairman Chalsa Vidyamandal for giving this kind of support every time. Our dynamic principal, Dr. Ayan Patel sir, VM principal, he always ready to support this kind of activity. One of the key member of our electronics and communication department, Dr. Badal Doria sir, I would like to also express my gratitude to him. And all the staff members of BVM family, our AC department, who are always supporting us for such activities. And finally, I would like to thank all the participants for being with us on this webinar. Thank you very much, all of you, and thank you, Paras sir, once again for this wonderful session. And audience, you can
Thank you very much, all. Thank you so much.
welcome,
It
sir.
was nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sign.